Okay, so today we're going to learn English with podcasts.
Podcasts.
Yeah, and specifically,
Good way.
we're going to talk about Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it is a good way
Valentine's Day.
to learn English.
So,
Mm.
uh, Valentine's Day, a lot of people celebrate it,
Yes,
but we don't really know where it came from or how it started.
that's right.
Um, so we thought this would be a really good topic to talk about.
Indeed.
Learn a little bit about history.
Yes.
Learn a little bit about English.
Exactly.
And kind of have some fun with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's
It's
Day.
a holiday that's celebrated all over the world.
All over the world.
And, it's a day for love,
Love.
romance,
Yes.
yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
But it has a really interesting history.
it does.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes all the way back to ancient Rome.
Ancient Rome.
Yeah. So we're going to go way back.
Long time ago.
Way back in time to ancient Rome and talk about the origins of Valentine's Day.
Yes, and I think many people will be surprised that it comes from ancient Rome.
Yeah.
Because when we think about Valentine's Day, we don't think about the Romans.
No, we think about hearts and flowers.
Right, chocolates.
Yeah.
Cupids and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And not Roman emperors.
Not gladiators.
Yeah, not gladiators. So let's go back to ancient Rome
Okay, let's do it.
and talk about this.
Okay.
So we're talking about the reign of Emperor Claudius II.
Claudius II.
Yeah. So this guy, he was all about military power.
Yes, he was a very strong emperor.
He was.
And he ruled with an iron fist.
And what's interesting is that he believed that married soldiers were less effective on the battlefield.
Yes, that's right.
And you can kind of see his logic there.
Yes, I think it makes sense because if you are married, you have a wife.
Yeah.
You have children.
You have a family you want to get home to.
Right. You want to protect them. You don't want to die on the battlefield.
Yeah, you don't want to be out there fighting and potentially not making it back to your family.
Because you're thinking about your family. You're not thinking about the battle.
Right, and you're distracted and you're not focused.
Exactly.
And so he did something pretty drastic.
What'd he do?
He banned marriage for soldiers.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
I cannot imagine a leader today doing that.
Never.
I mean, just imagine the reaction.
People would be furious.
Furious.
And it's like taking away a fundamental right.
Absolutely.
But back then, it was a different time.
It was a different time. People didn't have the same rights.
They didn't.
And the emperor's word was law.
Yeah, and you really couldn't defy the emperor.
No, you couldn't.
I mean, it was just too risky.
Yeah, you could be imprisoned or even killed.
Exactly.
It was a very dangerous thing to do.
So in this environment where you've got this emperor who's banned marriage for soldiers, we find our hero, a Roman priest named Valentine.
Valentine.
Yeah, and Valentine, he believed in the sanctity of marriage
Okay.
and love, and he couldn't stand by and watch as soldiers were denied this, right?
So he was a romantic guy.
He was a romantic guy.
Like he believed in love.
He did.
Okay.
And he thought that everyone should have the right to get married.
I see.
So he decided to defy the emperor.
Wow, that's brave.
It was.
Yeah.
And he continued to perform marriages for soldiers in secret.
Secret marriages.
Secret marriages.
Wow. So he was like a rebel.
He was a rebel.
A romantic rebel?
He was a romantic rebel, yeah.
Okay.
And it was incredibly risky.
Yeah, it sounds dangerous.
It was, he could have been caught at any time.
What would have happened if he was caught?
He could have been thrown in prison.
Okay.
He could have been executed.
Wow.
But he was willing to take that risk.
That's true love. Or true belief in merit, or both.
Both, yeah.
He was a very brave man. Okay, so what happened?
Well, eventually his luck ran out. Yeah, and his actions were discovered.
Okay.
And he was arrested and sentenced to death.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
It is a sad story.
But even in prison, a glimmer of romance emerged.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Yeah. So according to some accounts, Valentine fell in love with the jailer's daughter.
The jailer's daughter?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so here he is in prison, awaiting execution, and he falls in love.
So it's like a forbidden love story.
It is.
Because she's the jailer's daughter,
Yeah.
and he's a prisoner.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's very romantic.
It is very romantic.
But is there any historical evidence for this?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It's a great story.
It is.
But is it true?
Yeah.
Well, that's where things get a little bit murky.
Okay.
The historical details surrounding Valentine are actually quite vague.
Okay.
Um, there's debate about whether he was one person or multiple people who kind of got conflated over time. Um, and the specifics of his relationship with the jailer's daughter are more rooted in tradition than hard historical evidence.
I see. So it's more of a legend.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be more of a legend.
Okay.
But regardless of whether the love story is true or not,
Yeah.
Valentine left a lasting legacy.
Okay.
And it's a legacy that's all about love.
So how did that happen?
Well, on the eve of his execution,
Okay.
Valentine is said to have written a letter to the jailer's daughter.
A love letter.
A love letter expressing his love and signing it, Your Valentine.
Your Valentine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this act, whether it's historically accurate or not, has become a central element of the Valentine's Day story.
I see. So that's where the phrase Your Valentine comes from.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's from this letter that Valentine wrote to the jailer's daughter.
And that's how Valentine's Day became associated with love.
Right, because he was expressing his love for her in this letter.
And he signed it Your Valentine.
Your Valentine. Yeah. And over time, February 14th, the date of Valentine's execution, transformed from a day of mourning into a celebration of his sacrifice and the enduring power of love.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is.
So it went from a sad day to a happy day.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Valentine's Day is really a celebration of love.
it is.
And it's all thanks to this Roman priest who was willing to defy an emperor for love.
That's right.
Wow, what a story.
It is a great story.
It is.
But of course, we can't talk about Valentine's Day without talking about modern Valentine's Day.
Right, because it's very different from the original Valentine's Day.
It is very different.
Yeah.
It's become a commercial holiday.
Yes.
With chocolates and flowers and all sorts of gifts.
And pressure to be romantic?
Yes, and a lot of pressure to be romantic.
Yeah.
Which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your perspective.
That's true.
But it's definitely a far cry from those somber origins.
Yes, it is.
So it's interesting to see how the holiday has evolved over time.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember those deeper roots.
I agree.
Even amidst all the commercialism and the pressure and everything,
Yeah.
there's still that connection to a story about courage and sacrifice and love.
That's true.
And I think that's something worth celebrating.
I think so too.
So as you're out there picking out that perfect Valentine's Day card
Yeah.
or planning that romantic dinner,
Yes.
maybe take a moment to think about the journey that this holiday has taken.
That's a good idea.
From a Roman emperor's decree to a defiant priest's act of love.
Mm.
And it's just a reminder that love in all its forms has the power to change the world.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is.
And a great way to end our deep dive.
It is.
So happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.